there's one bit of misinformation about the pill, which I think I had retained. So tell me what the Pope has to do with the idea that we have to have a withdrawal bleed, that we have to have a break from our pill packet and have a bleed.
I love this bit. I mean, it's so annoying when you think about, in fact, I wrote in the book about my worst period. I mean, everybody has their most embarrassing period. And mine was at university when I was a member of the kind of Students' Representative Council. I had to go and sit on the university senate with all these old professors in gowns. And I'd elected to wear a white circular skirt that day and a black leather jacket. And as I got up from this big meeting with all these stuffy academics, I've been representing the students, the old guy next to me poked me and he said, "I think you've got a stain on your skirt, dear." And I looked around, I had this huge red saucer on the back of my white skirt, just the worst period. And I was just so ashamed.
Yeah.
And, we've all had one of those on a white sofa or something like that, haven't we? But, that when I sort of thought about that, and then I went back to the history of the pill, and we found out that Dr. John Rock, who was basically one of the inventors of the pill, was a Catholic and was very keen that the Pope should consider it to be part of the rhythm method, which was allowed by the Catholic Church. And he thought if it looked natural and if women had a week's break off the pill every month, then it would look rather similar to the rhythm method. And but they knew already that you didn't need a break at all, and it didn't cause you to explode or anything like that. The only reason you would bleed is because the hormones weren't there, and you would bleed because the hormones were withdrawn. But actually, you can go on, without having a period at all for, 15 years if you want. And the other thing I learned in the book was that the best withdrawal period is not a week, it's like 4 days or 2 days. Because if you want to have a bleed, which some people do, then a really short one is fantastic because it doesn't get your ovulation coming up again. And, if you forget your pill on day 8 after you've had a 7-day break, chance you could get pregnant then because you're running into kind of the fertile period. Whereas if you've only got a 4 or a 2-day break, it's much better. So the textbooks were sort of advocating years ago, 84 days on, 4 days off. Doctors, no idea, had they? They just don't, we did not get that information. And then we did this poll for the Pill Revolution documentary I made for Channel 4, and we discovered that 48% of women on the combined pill thought they had to take a break. So half of us were taking a break and having that big red stain on their white skirt and having a miserable time if they didn't want to have periods. And nobody's told us that, but we knew in the early 1960s, before that even. So we've known for over 60 years, and we have just, been using truckloads of Tampax for years and years. And I think that's, wow,
yeah,
what a disservice to women.